Today we're talking about one of those documents that causes way more headaches than it should, the Real Property Report, or RPR. If you're planning to sell a home in Calgary, or anywhere in Alberta really, this is one of those things that you need to understand. A lot of sellers will wait way too long to deal with their RPR, and this is one of those things that can cause a big headache as closing approaches. So today I'm going to walk you through what it is, how to get one, and why it's important to have it ready before you list your home. So first things first, what the heck is an RPR? A real property report is a document prepared by an Alberta land surveyor, and it's basically a detailed map of your property that shows the property lines and the structures on it. Things like the house, the garage, the deck, the shed, and how they sit relative to the property line. The RPR will also show whether any of those structures encroach on municipal land or a neighbor's property. So this document will need to be current, and it needs to have a stamp of compliance from your municipality, in this case, the City of Calgary. Why does this matter? Because when you sell your home, the buyer and their lawyer are going to know exactly what they're getting and whether there are any problems or encroachments before the deal closes. Okay, so now that you know what an RPR is, let's talk about timing, because this is where people can get burned. Too many sellers wait until after their home is on the market to even think about their RPR. But here's the problem. If it's outdated or missing, you'll be scrambling last minute dealing with surveyors, the city, and even potentially repairs that need to be made. And surveyors, they're not just sitting around waiting for you to call. Depending on the season, it can take a few weeks to get a surveyor out to your property. Plus, the city can take a little bit of time issuing the compliance stamp. Now, if you're in the middle of a sale with conditions coming due and buyers getting antsy, delays with the RPR can throw a wrench into everything. In the worst case scenario, this could delay closing or potentially even give buyers an excuse to walk away from the deal entirely. So having this ready before you list ensures that you can keep your focus on selling your home rather than running around dealing with paperwork at the last minute. If you're not sure where your RPR is, or even if you have one, start by checking your home's purchase documents from when you bought it. Sometimes it'll be in there, but it might be outdated if you say added a deck or a garage since then. It may no longer be valid. So if you need a new one, you'll have to hire a registered Alberta land surveyor. Then they'll come out and visit your property, take measurements, and produce a new RPR. You can find a list of certified surveyors on the Alberta Land Surveyors Association website. Now, once your new RPR is complete, you'll have to submit it to the City of Calgary for a stamp of municipal compliance. This process confirms that your property complies with local bylaws and that there are no major encroachments. This is why I highly recommend that you start this process well before the sign even goes on the lawn. It just ensures that you have one less thing to worry about when you're already dealing with things like showings, negotiations, and moving. All right, so let's talk about what happens if you ignore this advice and try to sell your house without a valid RPR. Technically, you can, but you are taking an unnecessary risk. Most real estate purchase contracts in Alberta include a clause that requires the sellers to provide a current RPR with compliance. Now, if you can't deliver, the buyer could delay closing or even pull out of the deal. And that's not to mention the stress that you'll deal with in the final days before possession. Lawyers scrambling, buyers threatening to walk. Trust me when I tell you, it's just not worth the headache. Now, some sellers will try to offer title insurance in lieu of an RPR, but I'll explain in the next section why that's not such a great option. Now, some sellers will ask, can't I just offer title insurance instead of an updated RPR? And technically, yes. In Alberta, a buyer can choose to accept title insurance instead of an RPR. But here's the thing, that option is usually seen as a kind of workaround rather than a proper replacement. Title insurance covers certain risks, like errors in public records or encroachments that might come up after closing, but it doesn't tell the buyers what they're actually buying before they take possession. It just states that if there's a problem, we'll cover it later, which isn't exactly reassuring when you're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on a home purchase. From the buyer's perspective, and frankly from a good listing agent's perspective, having an updated RPR shows transparency. It removes doubt. It shows if the property is in compliance with the municipality, and this builds trust in the transaction in general. Not only that, but relying on title insurance can introduce a certain amount of friction into the transaction, and some buyers might just outright reject it. Others will demand a price reduction or delay closing until their lawyers can examine the fine print. It's generally just not worth the hassle. So if you are thinking of listing your home, it's almost always better just to have one prepared in advance and just to avoid these headaches altogether. Selling your home is already a big enough process. Between cleaning, staging, negotiating, and planning your move, there's already enough on your plate. Getting your RPR done in advance is just one of those things that makes everything just a little bit smoother. It gives prospective buyers a lot more confidence and saves you any last minute issues that might cost you thousands. So if you're even thinking about listing your home, now is the time to check and see if you've got an up-to-date RPR. And if not, arrange to get one as soon as possible. So I hope you found this video valuable. And if you did, please do hit like and subscribe. It makes a big difference to a small channel just starting out like mine. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.